For sure. I mean, I've been in the West now, I think 18 seasons, and it feels like it's almost always like this. So, I think last year, for really, a cornucopia of reasons, we were able to get to the 3 seed, win 48. We were rather healthy. That middle part of the West was more centered around 44 to 46. And we were able to come out on top, some career years from guys. And this year, we saw that the depth of that 46 I think would have been the 4 seed last year. And this year we had 2 teams facing off in the 9-10 game with 46 wins. So, but that's what the West is, and that's what we're competing against. And I think you got 10 teams that were really darn good this year. And then you got, 5 teams that have a lot of promise coming for us. So it's not something where you can, in the West, where you can bide your time and just wait it out forever. Those 5 teams down there are coming sooner or later as well. So I think for us, it's balancing those 2 things. We do have a rather young group, but we're not so young that our horizon is 5-6 years in the future. Like, we're ready to win now. We've clearly done that at some level the last 2 years. And, we got 2 guys who were all-stars, all-NBA guys last year. I would argue had even better years this year. And we had a lot of positives around them. But those guys are right smack in their prime. And so, we're built to win now, and we're going to figure out ways to improve the team internally or externally, however we can.
And welcome in. It is a holy moly Jimbaboli Friday.
Holy moly Jimbaboli.
Welcome to the King's Court Friday, April 26th edition live. If you guys didn't catch the King's Court earlier this morning recorded, that was a little bit of fun. You got some alternate takes there. We've got a lot to talk about. I could take us through the entire hour 15. We might have some surprise guests. You guys remember Jerry Reynolds showed up yesterday for about 30-45 minutes. That was a ton of fun. Also, as you know, over my shoulder right there, you can take a picture of that QR code. That will bring you up on the screen with me. You can talk basketball. You can talk, like I said, a ton of topics. We don't necessarily have to go NBA. That was Monty McNair that kicked us off today. The link is also in the chat. If you would like to join the show, that goes for everybody on X, everybody on YouTube, 53 of you currently watching right now. Happy to have you. Well, let's set it up for you like this. I mean, we can go. I know we've got a lot of 49ers fans here in the area, so we can certainly go with some NFL draft if you want to talk that. Lot of discussion about which way the Niners may go this offseason. They took a receiver last night. What were your NFL draft surprises last night? I've got mine, and I've also got, you guys may have heard my take earlier on the Jaguars. If not, I can refreshen that a little bit for you. I know Adam in Texas is probably waiting for that one, but also we can talk about the Atlanta Falcons. How about that move? Michael Penix Jr. You know what's funny about that move with Michael Penix? It's like, they had Lamar Jackson. The Falcons could have had Lamar Jackson. Think about that for a second. He was all in to the idea about possibly going to Atlanta when he was a free agent, handling his own stuff. And they don't do it. And then they get a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins. Not a bad move for that team. Not terrible. Granted, he's coming off of an Achilles injury. So how's that going to shake out? But then last night, they pulled the trigger on Penix. Now, I'm all for taking the best player, but I'm also all for collaboration, synergy. To me, that means something's off in that Atlanta organization. Either the coach, the owner, Arthur Blank, they're not seeing eye to eye on the short-term plan, but maybe they are on the long-term plan, and that's how you get it, Penix. So anyways, we can talk about that. We can talk about that meme that you guys, I'm not saying any of you did it, but I'm not gonna give it too much run because it actually, quite frankly, pisses me off. If I was, I am in front of the camera nearly every day with you guys and Grant and Jerry and everybody else. Mistakes happen, moments happen that you're not ready for. Tech happens, right? You forget sometimes you're being recorded. That's been a big change for me. I forget the red light's on, which is a good thing. Grant told me I would get there at some point in my career. We're there. But if you're not used to that, that's a little bit of a different world you're stepping into. One of the girlfriends of a first round pick yesterday was not ready for that. Didn't know she was being recorded, I don't think. And the internet, no names mentioned, Jason Stewart, J Stu, grow up, J Stu. They were all over that meme, so I'm not going to spend too much time there. The Sacramento Kings, we heard from Monty McNair about the West. Where do you put the Kings right now in the West? I asked Jerry yesterday if he thought Houston was above Sacramento in the West because of the uncertainty with Malik Monk, the uncertainty. Well, I don't want to say uncertainty. Jerry Reynolds said it's not a big deal about the contract extension with Mike Brown, but I don't know. It just, does it not feel like this is stable as it is, right? This Kings window, whatever we want to call it, we need to come up with a name for it. But whatever it is, this 2-year segment of the Kings over the last 20, it's been one of the best 2-year segments we've had in a really long time. Probably the best 2-year segment in the last 16 years, because you obviously didn't make the playoffs. But is that 2-year segment a little bit of a house of cards? And I think it's fair to ask that question. I kind of got there with Jerry a little bit yesterday, but think about how quickly things could flip on their head. No Malik Monk, say he does not re-sign here in Sacramento, which to me is a very, very real possibility. And I think it should be a very real possibility to you all. But there's also a real possibility Malik Monk may sign here in Sacramento and want to stay for less. I think there's things that benefit him, but I think there's one thing that's non-negotiable with Malik Monk staying in Sacramento. He's got to go into the starting lineup. Jerry Reynolds yesterday, he said he can't identify Jerry, past coach of the Kings. He's called games forever, GM for the Kings. In fact, Jerry brought a damn championship to Sacramento with the Monarchs as the GM, working in the front office there. He can't find a basketball reason why Malik Monk's not starting. Maybe you can. So the phone lines are open. Use them. We've got 83 here. And by the way, if you want to be a podcaster, if you're doing something, I don't mind if I know you, bringing you on for a couple seconds. You do a good job, maybe I'll let you plug your stuff. Because you know what? This is about growing. One thing Grant Napier has always made very clear to me: pay it forward. So I want to do the same, want to help you guys out. Dorian, Mr. Moss, dude. I said it on my podcast earlier today. I know you from somewhere. I just do. I can't put my finger on where it's at. I know you from somewhere, but you did a good job yesterday. And I went back and watched the show. Cool reaction, really cool reaction when you saw Jerry pop up. So look, those are some of the things. We've got the A's coming to Sacramento. You can talk about that. You want to talk NHL playoffs? I don't know a ton of hockey. I know some hockey, specifically Golden Knights, Vegas. And I watched a little bit of the Rangers too. Are they still playing? I'm just kidding. Anyways, and lastly, this one might be a big rule to some. The NFL changing the safety rules. What do you guys think about that? You guys know I call them the halos. They have different sayings. What's the NFL calling it? The NFL is calling them, I want to make sure that I say this correctly. They are calling it, per ESPN, the Guardian Cap. How about the Guardian Cap? I like Halo better, but you guys have seen those attachments that go on the helmets that the players wear in practice. Those are now going to be legal to wear in the games because they do lower concussions. Now, granted, guys are not hitting as hard as they are in practice as they do in games, but anything to take the concussions down, that's a good thing. Roger Goodell was on the Pat McAfee show today, so we've got some audio from that. So that's our show. That is our show. I want to hear from you. Get your comments in. I haven't seen a single one yet. We got 90 in the house right now here on the King's Court on If You Don't Like That. We'll be doing this on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. Yes, it is the King's Court, but since it's my court, I can decide what we talk about. And if you guys want to go a different way, we can certainly do that. So one of the conversations yesterday that I had with Jerry Reynolds was surrounding next year's salary cap, right? It's estimated to be, I believe, right around 141. Kevin, what's up, man? Happy Friday to you. Glad to have you here. Now we're rocking Sack Kings. Rock, what's up? Oh, what's up, Goo? Let us know if you have looked up some draft prospects. I like Cody Williams or Silva. Also, would like the same info on why you think Kobe White would be traded, when they would be, DeMar, Levine, etc. Well, that's just a piece. I'm speculating. I've heard nothing, Zach, about Kobe White. I was using the Bulls situation as an example because and you lead me right in to the next topic. Daniel, what's up? Condog in the house as well. Notice, Condog, you are Condog here on the King Court. You are not Corn Dog. Wait a minute. Actually, straight out of the fryer and right onto the sizzling plate in the King's Court.
Woo!
Condog, what's up, man? Happy Friday.
Yeah, man. I got off work a little early, so I'm in my studio.
Yeah.
My room / studio, I guess.
Let's see that studio. Let me switch this up. Let's see
know,
that beautiful studio. Oh,
I mean,
we're going
let's see
Kings
here.
too. All right.
So I got the new TV up there hanging, and I got the old, those big boxes right there. And I got down there N64, GameCube, Wii, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, 360. And then here I got King's bobbleheads, some Disney stuff, popcorn buckets.
Love it, brother. Love it. So what's going on this Friday, man? What you want to talk about?
I just came back from I've just recapped watching the draft, the NFL draft last night too.
Yep.
And the Falcons really, I think, set that draft amok by picking Penix so early.
They did. Yeah, that triggered. We knew there was going to be a lot of offensive guys, Condog, but that pick triggered the avalanche.
Wow.
And
it was like a panic from everywhere else. We got to trade up, and then the Broncos take Bo Nix, and the Raiders are sitting there like, I guess Brock Bowers, and then what was it? A record of 15 offensive players in a row?
Yeah, and here's the other problem though that I think we should look at. The Raiders traded their pick to the Chiefs, yo. Yeah. I mean, that's really tough, especially when you got another speed guy coming through there, fastest guy in the draft. The Chiefs pick up. They're good for one of those a year, but I think the Raiders got a really good piece. And I think about when the Raiders were actually playing some decent football, they had a guy named Darren Waller who was balling out. So a good tight end is always a best friend to an offensive coordinator.
Honestly, I think tight end is probably more valuable than a star wide receiver. If you really look at the last few championship teams, Patriots with Gronk was their real number one guy. The Chiefs with Kelsey was their real number one guy. That I feel like that's actually the modern day building block, is actually the star tight end first.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great point, and I don't disagree with you. I think it really is kind of a building block. You can't ignore the offensive line. You can't ignore the defensive line. I think that's the second place you got to look, and then you go to skill players. But to see so many quarterbacks come off the board that quickly, you just wonder. There's no way all those quarterbacks pan out. There's
no
just
way.
not.
Even if they're just capable, that they still wouldn't be worth that top 12 pick.
Yeah, and I'm going to slaughter the name Latu. He's a Jesuit high school guy. He was the first defender drafted in this draft this year. He went to UCLA. He was considered the best pass rusher, or at least edge pass rusher in the draft, but he's got some teams had him on the red flag list for a neck injury because he did have what was a career-ending injury, and he was able to come back, but the D-line, you hit the nail on the head. I think the D-line and the tight end position, that's where you got to start an offensive line.
Yeah, that's where the money's won at. I mean, if you take a look at, like, I don't see a team that has won without a great pass rush. I mean, even the Giants teams with Eli Manning, those pass rushes were incredible. Yep. Michael Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, Jason Pierre-Paul. I can name all.
Spot on, dude. Think about the Seattle teams. I follow Seattle closely. That's what it was. It was the Legion of Boom. And the reason they were able to get that time and be able to play as aggressively as they could in the secondary was exactly that reason, the defensive line and that push.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of these edge rushers, they're big money on the market. You see, Khalil Mack demand money, or Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Aaron Donald, all those big name guys out there. Von Miller back in his day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's a good point. I mean, it's such an exciting time for me to see these guys, get their moment. And I get it's a little bit diminished because most of them that were drafted last night are already getting paid from sponsorships. But I mean, you get to see lives change right there in front of your eyes, and not just their lives, it's generational wealth if you do it right. So I think it's a really cool night.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love, I mean, you get to see someone at 16, they're one of the few that actually get to be drafted and get to play in the NFL. They're one of they're a 1%er.
Yep, exactly right, buddy. You wanna send us off with a last minute take? You got anything else you want to hit on? Anything off the board?
You know what? 49ers, I think they really messed up not taking a corner.
There were some good ones on the board.
Yeah,
there were some good corners on the board.
There. Yeah. I forget his name from Iowa. He was still up there too.
You know what's funny, Condog? I look at the wide receivers and we think divas, right? Like, oh gosh, you got to bring in a star wide receiver. You know what you're getting, yada, yada, yada. And there's the exception to the rule. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm thinking, what a perfect fit. Is there anybody else in this draft that is now set up to have a career like Larry Fitzgerald? I could totally see him playing in one place his entire career in Arizona. Yeah. But then you look
Roma Duze, I think he's set up perfectly because he's not gonna be the number one, or he's gonna get to learn from Keenan Allen, who's a fantastic route runner. DJ Moore as a great number 2. So he's not even going to be looked at so he has time to actually learn an NFL offense and NFL route running, which again is a lot different from college, because open in college and open in NFL is two different.
You know what, Condog, you bring up a great point. Hey, by the way, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for picking us up and starting us off here on the King's Court on Friday.
Yes, sir. Always.
Thank you, brother. All right, be well. He brings up a very good point there. Really quick, to answer your question, Flores, then I'm going back to Zach. No, it has changed, right? It's crazy, but at least the running backs, it swung back a little bit. We were worried, or at least I was worried for them. I'm not going to lie. It's a brutal position. We know that. And the fact that because you can, listen to this, you can change a market, you can freeze a market, you could do whatever if you're the owners, if you work together. I'm not saying they do that, but if there's a group that deserves to get paid, it's those guys. You'll probably, when do you guys think the first running back's coming off the board? What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. And the cornerback thing I was going to say to Condog is wide receivers, they can be divas. You've got to be a whole nother level to be a cornerback, because not only like are you covering them, like you got to be in their heads too. You got to have that mental step ahead of them. And a cornerback to me is just so much mental as it is physical. So that's a different breed as well. Baki, what's up, dude? I'm going to get to you in just 1 second. Zach, all right, let's go back to this. We just talked draft, so I'm going to go to the Kobe White talk in the Bulls. So the reason I use the Bulls, Zach, is, there's going to be teams that are going to be on the fringe here. They're going to have decisions to make. The Kings could easily be a team like that. If Malik goes, something else happens. Mike Brown next year's gone, okay? And with the penalties for going over the cap being so severe, teams are going to want younger talent that they can develop and that they can pay a cheaper price for. And if they can get some of those minutes, or at least get a filler role for a couple of years, or bring in one vet, maybe on an MLE that brings those guys down, settles them down, but you're in a rebuild. I mean, a great example, kind of like a Portland, right? Is it better to go Portland's way? Or if you're Chicago, I don't think you have any choice. You're trying to get rid of Levine, right? And then DeMar DeRozan, what's going to happen with him? And I don't see the Bulls and DeRozan doing anything. It's been there. And Kings fans, and by the way, really quick, I had a wonderful brunch today with Anita. I'm not sure if she's watching. Many of you probably know Anita from the chat. It was such a pleasure catching up with her. Thank you, Anita. That was a lot of fun. And thank you very much for the book for my son. She even signed it too. So very special item. But the Bulls, they are projected, their salaries next year are projected to be, I believe it's 165. So they would be over. And they're, to me, are you going to chase a championship if you're the Bulls? Are you going to go for an immediate rebound? Are you going to try to offload assets, get more assets? I don't know. So I brought up the Bulls because let's say Levine gets traded. And I don't think the Bulls are going to get fair market value for Levine. He's just hurt too much. He really is. So let's say he's gone. Let's say Levine's gone. Or excuse me, let's say that DeRozan's gone. What are you going to do? Are you going to build around a Kobe White? I don't know. I think those are the situations where the Kings have to be proactive. They've got to have their eyes pointed in those directions, have a pulse on what the rest of the league is doing. And I can't speak to whether or not the Kings really are on top of that. I do know this, and I maintain it. I go back to what I've said earlier this week. It wasn't last offseason that hurt the Kings. It wasn't this last trade deadline that hurt the Kings. It was it was not this year's trade line, last year's trade deadline. That is where the Western Conference took a corner. That's where it took a turn. Some of those teams were teetering. Think about the Lakers. Rob Pelinka was getting killed. I mean, killed, right? By the media. He's doing a terrible job. Trade deadline, this guy flips the roster damn near, almost flips their bench for relatively nothing. And the next thing you know, they're in the Western Conference Finals. It's nuts. So that's where the Kings missed out. The Clippers got better at that deadline. The Knicks, and I know they're in the East, but they got better. I mean, everybody got better except the Kings. I know the Kings made the move for Kessler Edwards, but man, that to me, that was the one. So anyways, Zach, that is why I used Kobe as an example. Kobe is a great player, in my opinion. His salary is low. You get him for a year. Anyways, you see what I'm saying. Look to fish. If I'm the Kings, I am fishing left and right to see what I can do. And here's the other thing. Let's assume Malik Monk is coming back. I know yesterday we said let's assume he's not. If Malik Monk is coming back, and thank you to the 135 live with us here on the Kings Court, you can call, by the way, the QR code right there above my shoulder. By the way, shout out to Michael. He won the auction for the Jerry Reynolds and Wayman Tisdale shirt. So, Michael, I will be reaching out to you. We're going to get golf set up. We're going to get that framed for you and get that to you ASAP. So be checking your emails indeed. But thank you to all of you for your support being here on If You Don't Like That and the King's Court, and any of you that may have bid on the shirts. The other two did not meet their minimums, but that's okay. Your guys' support, just being here and showing up for us, 142 now, more than enough. Spread the word. I really, really appreciate it. So, Flores, yeah, we talked about that. What up, Ryan? Did any team pick a running back? Nope, they did not. My man, Baki, welcome in on a Friday. Some of the players are must-stay situations. Sabonis, Fox, Ellis, Monk, and maybe even Barnes. Others, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. Baki, the Kings can't get better like that, though. How are the Kings going to get better? They only have a mid-level exception to work with. That's the problem. Now, if I look at, let's take Monk out of the situation, because Monk is not a Sacramento King, right? He can, he's more of a king than anybody else, but you get my drift. They still have early bird negotiating rights with him. But who's the most desirable trade target outside of Sabonis, Sabonis, Fox, and Sabonis, Fox, and Keegan Murray? I know who I think it is, but I'm curious who you guys think it is. And I think there was a market for this person last year, but I think the market's diminished. The league doesn't respect the Kings. Let's call a spade a spade. There's no other way to put it, or at least do they think the Kings are smoke and mirrors? I mean, to leave Sabonis off the All-Star team, both the fan vote and the coaches, to have Malik Monk not be the sixth man of the year. By the way, sixth man of the year voting in, and the difference in this one, you know what the difference in this one was? It was first place votes. That's what it was. That is where Malik missed out. I don't know. You get 45 first place votes for Naz Reid, 43 for Monk, and then it goes 5 for Portis. But let's look at some other guys that got first place votes. Norman Powell, deserving. Bogdan, deserving, but not first place votes. Deserving of like a second, third place vote, in my opinion. And there's been Reese Fox, De'Aaron's wife, actually brought up something on social media. I know Dave and Jason referenced this on their show. Shout out to the 150 joining us live. Thank you so much for being here on the King's Court. Make sure you call the show. You can do that. Get your comments in. You never know who's going to drop into the King's Court. So yesterday we had Jerry Reynolds. We might have some special guests here today as well. We'll just have to see how we play our cards. But yeah, Baki, I just think it's a big, big ask to get better without doing anything with some of those guys. And I think the narrative for this postseason this offseason is get comfortable being uncomfortable. And what other concessions need to be made for Malik Monk to take less money? One's pretty clear to me. That's starting. But give me your takes on that again. Tell her hello as well.
Holy moly,
We got her right
Jimbo
here.
Bowley.
See, she's right here. She's always with us on the show.
Holy moly, Jimbo Bowley.
So hope you're having a great day. Flores, do you think the Kings will begin to rebuild once Brown is gone? I'm not saying Mike Brown's gone, y'all. It's the worst decision the Kings could make. But if you talk about his contract situation right now, are you going to get Mike Brown at a cheaper price than right now? I mean, in what universe do you not see Mike Brown coaching this team beyond next year? I just don't know. So again, Jerry Reynolds, Grant, they don't think that's a big deal. It seems to be coming up a decent amount. I know there's some new reporting out there on that. What's up? Colt 45. Colt 45. We've got the screen name of the day so far, Colt 45. And you guys know you don't have to just do straight takes. You know, you can come in here with some humor. You know, I've got a little bit of humor. I mean, did you see what the Jaguars did last night? I'll get to that in a little bit, but I love the screen name. I think Levine is a worthy risk at this point, and I think you don't need to give up much for him. I don't disagree with that, but the amount that you gotta pay him, that is the problem. Are you gonna? I don't think that's the guy. That's not the guy that you want to go into the luxury tax for. You just don't. Let's see. Lack of playmaking was obvious against Pelicans. Yes, no doubt. Certainly, and it was obvious all season, even when Monk was with us. It just was not there. The Kings had too many finishers and not enough distributors, in my opinion. Colt doubling up. He's doubling down. He's saying, I think you can keep most of the core without giving much. Yeah, you said that before. Again, and here's the problem when I see with Levine. The Kings offense was humming the best down the stretch when they were playing that team basketball, the spray basketball, right? When they were creating for each other, getting out in transition, right? But you know why else it was humming? Because there's no expectation of getting Keon Ellis shots. I mean, Keon's naturally going to get shots. He has to stay aggressive. He can't hesitate when he gets a shot, or else the defense is going to sag off of him. But you're not drawing up plays for him like you would a Kevin Huerter, right? And I just don't know if you bring in, and Grant's all for a traditional shooting guard. I'm not convinced that a traditional shooting guard works in this system. I'm not, because Keon Ellis showed us you kind of need a 3-and-D guy there. And I hate to say this because they're different players, but yeah, you caught that, Kevin. Well done, dude. You caught that. That was my wife. Yeah, she left the other room. This is my studio, and she came in this part because she's going out the other door. If you hear, there's a 100-pound dog with 6 claws over by the windows, just crying like a little baby. But good catch. Yes, that was my wife. Gosh darn it, Kevin. What was I talking about? I was talking about shots. So with Keon Ellis, and that's going to progress. In the comparison, I was going to say Doug Christie, not in play, but in role. Defense, right? It gives you more flexibility, allows you to switch. Yeah, right. It was the wifey. I know. We get caught sometimes here on the King's Court. That's what happens with digital. That's all right. We got 165. Let's get to 200. I appreciate all you being here on a Friday. We've got lots to talk about. Take the show any way you want. NFL draft, Sacramento Kings, A's in Sacramento. Whatever it is, shoot, it's a Friday, Adam. If you want to talk, Adam, I will give you a 2-minute segment of wrestling, Adam. But I do have a take that's kind of in that realm, so we'll get to that because I talked about that on the King's Court earlier, and I think that's a really fun one. So anyways, that's where I stand. You could, but I just don't think Levine works. The Kings don't make the playoffs next year. I think Mike Brown would be gone, but the Kings have to get better this year to be a top seed, no doubt. Monty McNair, Dorian was talking about that at the top. There's no more sitting around and waiting for something to come to you. And I'm not saying the Kings have done that, but they've clearly got to be more proactive in this offseason. How great would it be? Like, seriously, I know the Kings don't get a ton of national run, but how great would it be to have just a 5-minute segment on Inside the NBA or whatever, where they're like, holy crap, the West needs to gear up. The Kings got better, you know? And here's a name. I'm going to give you a name. Miss Anita, we had a big conversation about this at lunch. You ready, guys? The chat's going to go ablaze when I say this. And I want your reaction. I'm going to go Jim Rome hacksaw. React to me. How about LeBron James on a mid-level extension or a mid-level deal? Exemption. LeBron James on an MLE now. Part of that is Bronny. Do you take 2 years of LeBron James? Now, I know it's unlikely, but what would that do for the Kings? What would it? The Lakers are clearly in shambles. Clearly. And it feels weird saying that considering the Kings lost to the Pelicans how many times this season? Seven times, was 6 or 7 times. I've tried to flush it from my memory, so I don't even want to know the exact number. See, you got to flush those things. You know what I mean? You got to flush them. Yeah. Oh, you're not going to go?
Holy
Come on, there we
moly,
go.
Jimbo Bowley.
By the way, my buddy, you guys know Haunted Horse, right? You guys know Haunted Horse? Yeah, he is good for a couple of sound drops. He's on this soundboard too. I probably, and now I don't remember which one is the right one for Haunted Horse. Hold on.
Yeah, lick your
No, that's the, yeah, that was a fun one, man. Lick your boots. Yeah.
lick your boots.
In what context does
Yeah, lick your boots.
come up? I mean, when?
Yeah, lick your boots.
Doesn't make any sense. No, you may not lick my boots.
Yeah, lick your boots.
No, you can't lick the chat's boots.
Yeah, lick your boots.
No, you cannot call and ask to lick my boots.
Yeah, lick your boots.
Stop, horse. Okay, it's getting a little weird, dude. All right, back to what we're talking about. Which mixer did you get, Kevin? I got the one that was recommended to me. That's what I got. The one that works with everything that I am able to operate. Johnny boy, what's up, man? Ryan, a little late. All good. What did you miss? Yeah, thumbs up, y'all. We got 166 in the house. You missed some Kings talk. You missed some NFL talk. What else? We missed Condog. Condog's been in the house. So, and John, you missed this. Would you take LeBron James on an MLE, but you got to draft Bronny in the second round? What do you think, John? Let's see. Dorian hopping back in. I like how LeBron plays off ball and distributes. His age is up there, even though he's still effective. But I think for the right price, along with Fox and Sabonis, that would be pretty sick. You know, when you bring LeBron James onto a team, it means this. It means we are mixing things up, right? We're shaking things up. That's what it means. And so this is a shake-up time. This is a time where the Kings have to shake it up. You guys have all said it. They've got to do something a little bit more dramatic. I've said it. They've got to be proactive rather than reactive. Now, this is a long shot, but I think we're being a little negligent if we don't throw it out there. I mean, sure, he's going to probably stay in LA. He's made it clear he wants to end his career in LA, but certainly the Lakers had a little bit of hesitancy about that at the trade deadline. There was reporting from, and by the way, the reporter that follows the Lakers, he has been right every time LeBron James has been on the run, whether he's going to another team, whatever. He has known before anybody else. And at the trade deadline, about a week and a half, you guys might remember this, a report came out that the Lakers were considering trading LeBron. And he was the one put the report out. So that to me makes it a little bit, could there be something there? I don't know. You're still in California. He's not going to play for the Clippers. That does not work. But you're right, Dorian. I mean, there's not a ton of guys that can spread that floor the right way for Sabonis, and Braun would be one of them. And I wouldn't mind a year of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis being around LeBron James's regimen for taking care of his body. Give him credit. Him and Tom Brady, two of the first athletes to really put a priority on their body and reinvest into it on top of what they get, which is top-notch training and care from each organization. I wouldn't mind a little bit of that. I would not. And you got Harrison Barnes already, consummate professional, gets that from them. And here's the other tie, y'all. Don't forget this. De'Aaron Fox is now represented by Rich Paul. So I'm just saying there's something, could be a little something there. John's saying he still trusts Monte. Okay, so what if Monte brought LeBron in? You trust him then, right? There you go. Mike Dizzle. I haven't seen that report. That would be bad. Would Buddy Hield ever get a chair at Golden One Center. I think he signed, sealed, and delivered his fate with his little comment when he didn't know he was being recorded. I'm not going to go too far into depth on that. You can find it online if you want to. That was ridiculous. John would trust him. All right. Very good. Hey, we've had Condog already here. We have had a ton of great chats, good questions. I told you, NFL draft, that's starting back up here in a little bit. You've got NBA playoffs tonight. Lakers on the ropes. The Orlando Magic. Boy, oh boy, they looked good last night. And they like Malik. They like Malik a lot. That's a fun group to watch. And that Orlando crowd, when Orlando is good, that Orlando crowd is good. So that was cool. And I'm going to carry over some Jim Rome rules into here, even though this isn't ran like a Jim Rome show. There might be some crossovers here and there, but personal appearance, I'm mixed on that, because this isn't a platform to start making fun of the way people looks. And I know it would all start right here, but I mean, Pablo Banchero, he's got a baby face. I have a hard time looking at him and not seeing like a little cute baby. I just want to hold the baby, rock the baby. Like, seriously, go look at his presser from last night. He's got such a young face. Yeah, got the Disney magic. Yes, they do. The Disney magic. Yeah, there you go, Condog. Well played. By the way, speaking of the NFL draft, no, Buddy Hield. No. Speaking of the NFL draft, were any of you around for the King's Court with Nick Cattles? That was probably about 4 weeks ago. I think it was 4 weeks ago. It was right before WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania week. And we did a special edition. For those that don't remember Nick, he used to be the host of Cattles and Rami on 1140 for about a year. Well, Nick's back on the East Coast covering the Patriots, but he is a huge wrestling head. And so we ended up predicting a decent amount of WrestleMania, not everything, but I bring up wrestling because last night during the NFL draft, the last thing I expected was to have any type of wrestling crossover, short of seeing like a Green Bay Packers championship belt or something like that, right? And for those that don't know, WWE, the name that most know, there's another company out there by the name of AEW, All Elite Wrestling. If you watch wrestling, you pay attention to any of it, you know about All Elite. You know what that is. Well, they are ran by Tony Khan, son of the Jaguars owner. The Jaguars last night, the American Nightmare. Yeah, he's pretty hot right now. The Jaguars last night traded back in the draft, and their fans weren't necessarily thrilled about it. And I thought that is where most of the heat was going to come. I was wrong. I'm going to go to NFL Network last night. This was Rich Eisen explaining the Jaguars war room, draft room.
As Tony Khan becomes the first ever NFL executive in a draft room, shaking off the effects of a pile driver he received on national television in a wrestling ring the night before.
All right, let me paint the picture for you really quick. Tony Khan, younger guy. If you're picturing like an older dictator like Vince McMahon, no, he's a younger guy. Have you guys ever watched The Big Bang Theory? Big Bang Theory. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Well, what's the guy's name that dates Penny? Leon or Leo? Help me out here. Anyways, he's kind of got this curly, froey hair that just goes everywhere. And quite frankly, if I got to be honest about it, Tony looks like he just rolled out of bed on most days. I mean, it could be their biggest show of the year. It could be the NFL draft. And dude's just chilling in a shirt, hair all messy, beard unkept. And I'm cool with all that. That doesn't bug me. But he had a neck brace on, guys. He was selling a wrestling storyline during the NFL draft. Let that sink in. Tony Khan was selling an NFL or an AEW storyline that already was really believable, Tony. And yeah, you're wearing a neck brace, dude. Yes, I know, right? Kayfabe is still around. For those that don't know, kayfabe, it means you like act like what happens in the ring is your real life, whatever. So Tony Khan takes the opportunity, steals the stage away from his dad. In what world does an NFL owner say, sure, son, you know what? Run a wrestling show the night before the draft at our stadium, but don't do it in the main stadium. Just do it in like the little side parking lot area. That'll be cool. We'll put it on national TV. And guess what, son? Take your ass out there, mess with the wrestlers, get pounded into the ring, because you know what? The NFL draft isn't that important. It's not. It's not where NFL teams turn their franchises around. No, it is where we build AEW storylines. Okay, I'm okay with it. It's whatever. Now, here's my problem. You know what, Tony? I take it back. I said I had a problem with the neck brace. No, Tony, I love the neck brace. Here's the problem I have, Tony. The problem I have is if you are going to mix AEW, kayfabe, wrestling, and the NFL, Tony, mix them right, dude. If you're going to wear the neck brace, I want to see the hook spotlight go up on the ceiling in the war room, man. Like, I want Will Ospreay's and then, oh my gosh, what's going on? Where's Will? Where's Will? And then all of a sudden, Will Ospreay's not there. And oh my gosh, it's Ms. Nika, the Jaguars' #1 fan. She's rappelling from the ceiling. She's got Sting face paint on. What's she doing? Tony Khan has no idea that she's behind him. Oh, Ms. Nika, turn around, Tony, turn around. Boom, right over the head with a bedpan, right? And then you announce your pick or you announce your trade. Tony, missed opportunity. Jaguars, missed opportunity. Do better next time, you all. Did you guys expect that? Was that a little weird? It wasn't just that. Then you've got Roger Goodell and Eminem. That was a weird mix. And I'm not going to belabor that point. Plenty of national hosts already have, but that was a little bit different. Overall, though, I thought Detroit looked really good. I thought that it was a fun night. I thought the crowd was really good. The NFL still has some tweaks to make here and there. Certainly, they've done a better job about stopping the leaks, because what was worse about watching the NFL draft? Was it watching the NFL draft, or was it the freaking announcers telling you who is going to be drafted 10 seconds before the commissioner comes on stage? Exactly. So good job by the NFL overall. Although, Goodell, what are you going to do if you're Roger Goodell, right? He just gets booed everywhere. He was on the Pat McAfee show today, by the way, and he was talking about player safety. Look, we didn't talk about it today, but the hip tackle or the hip drag, whatever you want to call it, that is now banned. That's right. That is now banned in the NFL. And I brought it up before, but the NFL is now going to allow players to wear those Guardian caps in the regular season. So what are your thoughts on that? Roger Goodell on player safety today on the Pat McAfee show. Credit to ESPN Disney.
Seeing it start to happen in college football. We saw it down at Florida State this year. And not only are there more injuries, there are more severe injuries. Guys are out for a season, maybe in a career. So they lead to very significant injuries. So, and it doesn't happen that often. And we got to coach it out. We got to educate it out. but we may have to officiate it or find it out.
Yeah.
So how are you? Let's talk about it. How are you going to officiate it out? I don't know how. Before we start talking about officiating injuries out, which I don't think NFL fans want to see. I mean, the game is being neutered. It is. It's a different football game. Defenders have a distinct disadvantage compared to offensive players. I mean, where can you put your hands? The tackling target changes every single year. Shout out, by the way, to the 186 of you here on the King's Court live. Love having you here. You can call this show if you'd like. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. We're wrapping up your Friday. Hopefully you're getting ready for your drive home. What's everybody's plans for the weekend? I would love to hear about those if you want to throw them in. But getting back to the NFL, Roger, you got to work in the refs first. You got to get that fixed. You got to get instant replay fixed before we start talking about taking or officiating out injuries. How are they going to officiate out injuries? Any ideas? Less hits? 7-on-7? I mean, the NFL, inevitably, it's going to continue moving towards player safety as it should. The NFL was behind the curve for far, far too long when it came to concussions and CTE. And you've seen the results of that and now the proactiveness of the NFL in trying to curb that. And for all the parents out there, here's a question for you. Are you letting your kids play tackle football young, at a younger age, at an elementary school age? I started playing tackle football. I'm going to be a little Uncle Rico here. I started playing, I believe, fourth grade. I have a 9-year-old now. I would never put him on a football field before freshman year. I just wouldn't do it. And I am a huge football guy. I'm all in on it. But knowing what we know now and thinking back to how immature your body is at that age, it's too much of a risk. Your body's not ready for those impacts. And I know that some of it's been coached out to a degree. I don't know about you guys, but and gals, when I played and we got into full pads, especially towards the front end of the season, the first hour of practice, every practice was just straight hitting drills. And when I mean hitting drills, like basically a moving target. It's really what it was. And you took some shots. I mean, some really tough shots. So I don't imagine that's happening, but I don't know. Here's the other thing. I would encourage, and I'm getting off on a tangent here, I would encourage parents to allow kids to play all the sports they can instead of specializing in one. And I think that's why we see so many of these athletes showing up right now. Your Otanis, these guys that can play a couple sports. How about Travis Hunter at Colorado? Being able to play both sides of the ball in college. That's nuts. Cornerback and receiver. So you guys get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying about injuries. I just don't see where it would be, what the NFL could do. I mean, if we're talking about officiating hits out of the game, what hits are we talking about? I mean, certainly the ones they've already taken out, the blind sides, probably some stuff on the line. I mean, how are we talking about officiating injuries out of the game before the whole Philly play, the what do they call it? The tush push, whatever it is. That is like the most dangerous play, the new most dangerous play in football besides the punt returns and such. I mean, or putting a receiver over the middle. It's a dangerous, dangerous play. Roger Goodell continues on the Pat McAfee show.
That's not what we're looking for because they're still training their eyes too. And so we're looking at that. We can deal with it as fines. And hopefully that'll get it out of the game very quickly also.
Just like you guys did with the quarterback set, like early in the season, it was like, or the shots to the head. Early in the season, it was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And we were all bitching like, nope, This isn't football anymore.
Bullshit.
What are we doing?
Or
And then by,
body
like,
weight on the quarterback was another one.
Al, that's a tough.
That's
who in
but you
these
don't hear
rooms?
about it much anymore.
Who in these rooms when these rules are coming? Like, are they players, former players? Like, who exactly? Who are in these rooms?
In the rooms back in their office.
when the rules
guys
are,
like Troy Vincent,
Got
Don
it.
Runyon.
Yeah.
So I mean, the vast majority of our guys.
How confident were you there? Who's in the room? We've hit 200. Heck yes. 200 watching the King's Court right now. I absolutely love it. Thanks for being here, Ryan, in Sacktown on a Friday. Yeah! Thank you, Randall. We are wrapping up the week with you. Let's get you in here. We still got time for some calls. If you want to come up, I've set the table for you. It's time for you to eat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We've talked about the Kings, the 4 position. What do they do about it? Can they get creative with salaries? We've talked about Malik Monk, NFL draft. We've talked about AEW and the Jaguars. We haven't dug too much into Atlanta and Michael Penix. That's a story. San Francisco, Zach, I know you asked some questions about that. We can circle back to it as well. So get in here. I want to hear from you. We got about 15 minutes left in the show, and then we're sending you in to the weekend.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for the weekend either. So did you hear Roger pause? That to me was a troubling pause, because what's the biggest thing corn dog. That's right. Yeah. Can the NFL just fast forward to flags? Right, Flores? That's where we're headed. We certainly are. 7-on-7 with pool floaties, so nobody drowns crying about it hit too hard. Now, I want to keep the balance here. I'm with you guys. I preach in my life balance, and I preach it to everybody that'll listen to me. So, you got to have some of those hits, but you do have to neuter some of it out. But it's not balanced right now. And even a little bit more troubling than that, who's in on the conversation, right? Who's breaking this down? Who's looking at safety? Troy Vincent? Who else? Shouldn't that be a panel? Why isn't the NFLPA involved in that conversation? Why don't you have a captain, a defensive captain from every organization in that group? This is one of, if not the biggest businesses in America, in the world. Okay? Patrick, welcome in. Thanks for checking in all the way from the East Coast, Long Island, man. What is up? Your Knicks, dude. Looking good. Looking good, Patrick. I like it. And by the way, Joel Embiid, we didn't talk about that. What he is playing through it's incredible. It's nothing short of incredible. You want to talk about wrestling and tie-ins? How about Jim Ross? Good old JR, Bell's palsy, Embiid playing with Bell's palsy reportedly. It makes your face droop, freeze. You're not able to blink at times on sides of your face. That is brutal. Can you imagine playing an NBA game like that? And if you didn't hear the sound from Joel Embiid, you got to go listen to it. He had a monster game, 50. But this guy has been through just about 210. We're cranking him up on the King's Court. Love it. Keep it coming. Get your comments in. You can call the show as well. Remember, the show link is at the top of the chat. Tell you what, I'm going to put it again in the chat. If you want to hop in here and come talk about any of the topics or something else, if you would like to bring that up, you can. Would love to have you. What's up, Tedora? Oh, good night, Tedora. Have a
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
night. I love it. I love it. Have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. Come on. So, anyways, getting back to what I was saying, the NFL, you got to do better. You got to find a different way to do it. Your guys' jobs, what you do. Think about just even smaller operations. You probably have a management team. You probably have groups or whatever focus, and I don't want to say focus groups, different committees in your office. But the NFL, how do they not have something better in place? And so before we talk about officiating hits out of the league, let's first talk about officiating the game properly. And that begins with obviously instant replay. And what do they open up that box of what is reviewable, what is not reviewable? We will see. Man, it has been a fun week. What's your reaction so far to the live Kings Courts? I wanted to give all of you a different option here in the afternoon time in Sacramento on the East Coast, Patrick, in Long Island, wherever, Baki, Serbia, Tedora, Serbia. I mean, I love all you. I can't thank you enough, but what's your reaction so far? Because we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep going on Monday through Friday. I think we're going to stick to 2:00. We'll keep having guests, surprise guests. We've got some fun stuff lined up for that. Let's see. Patrick hopping in, sure, but I don't like him grabbing the ankle of an opponent unnecessarily on the ground. Good point, Patrick. Yeah, he might have been grabbing on for a little bit of help, but it's the playoffs. It gets a little physical. So we head into the weekend. NFL draft still going. Thank you very much, Flores. I appreciate it. We're going to keep doing it, and we will keep having fun here on the Kings Court. Robinson was out 50 games on that ankle. Good point, Patrick. Yeah, that was a big loss, man. I hated to see that. That was no good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That brings some balance back to the conversation. Anyways, you've got NFL draft this weekend. I'm sure I'm not following golf right now, so I'm sure there is a very good golf tournament somewhere that you can find. Hell, there's golf here in Northern California. Get out and play yourself. I know the weather's not supposed to be super great, but the NBA, you've got the playoffs. You've got a huge weekend of playoff basketball. That should be fun. Are the Lakers going to be swept? Are they going to go 12-0 on the can you imagine that? Man, brutal against the Pelicans. And what does that, or excuse me, I said the Pelicans against the Nuggets. The Nuggets, by the way, in my opinion, the best team in the NBA right now. Can you argue with me? Is there anybody? I just don't see it right now. I don't with the Celtics. They're too inconsistent. And when the Nuggets hit this mode, or I don't, inconsistent's the wrong word. Mr. Moss brought this up yesterday, and I didn't get to answer the question because I wanted Jerry to answer it. That was a lot of fun. But the answer to why teams are doing some of these things, like these weird doubles, the Sacramento Kings, I asked around and I got an answer. It's this: analytics. Analytics. We talked about it yesterday. I know I brought it up yesterday as well, but that's what's driving a lot of these decisions. And like I said before, it goes back to the shift in baseball. It goes back to all those the very strategic part of sports where you're doing little things, whether it's pulling the goalie, right? Not Trailer Park Boys. I'm talking about pulling the goalie in hockey, y'all. But it's things like that. So, yeah. And Jordy Fernandez, how about this? He's hired Juwan, or sources, Juwan Howard, embattled past head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, dealing with some health issues. Looks like he is going to be joining Jordy's staff in Brooklyn. That'll be interesting. Brooklyn, I look at their cap number. You know, Brooklyn's not too far away from getting to a spot where they could have some money to play with. So keep an eye on what Jordy does. Jordy knows Monk very, very well. So I don't know. You look at the race for Monk, and I know we're jumping around a little bit here, but it really comes down to a few teams to me. In fact, to me, it's a group of three, and really, a group of three. Here's where it's at to me. It's Sacramento, which I think is probably the lowest on the list. I don't think it's the first choice. The first choice is not decided because he doesn't have any offers yet besides Sacramento's. Well, Sacramento's not. You know what I mean. He knows what he can get from Sacramento. But Here's the teams. San Antonio, if I'm going to give you another Western Conference team, San Antonio scares the hell out of me. Malik Monk and Greg Popovich, there could be some good things there. Think about the pick and roll, what that could do for Wemby and Malik Monk. That would be a good opportunity for him. They have the room to have a little bit of fun. The other team that worries me, and we've already talked about them today, the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic, they're young. They like playing a fun style of basketball. They're not afraid to put the three ball up. You've seen that in the time that they came to G1C this year. So that one worries me. So those are the two teams I am looking very closely at. Are you looking at any teams where you think Malik Monk may possibly have interest? In fact, if we're going to go through the numbers, here we go. So what we're looking at is the cap numbers. So the Kings, their projected numbers at 154,000 for next year. Okay. So they would be fine, right, with what they're doing with Malik Monk or at least offering with the early bird. But over that, they're going to be penalized. Ryno, 2 is too early in the day. Keep up the good work. Hey, I appreciate it, Alberto. We're not sure what the permanent time will be, but I really like the 2:00 slot. And it's because that's when that afternoon show usually starts around Sacramento. So we will take that into consideration as well. And don't forget, this doesn't change any of the programming we're doing on if you don't like that. This will be in addition to everything we're doing. And I'm sure Grant's going to be popping up here in the next few days doing an NFL draft show. Getting back to what I'm saying, and we'll wrap up the show. The Orlando Magic projected cap 132 million, or projected payroll, 132,643,000. They have the most room, projected room in the NBA to play with. So not only, I think, with the situation, the location, Malik Monk loves playing golf. Orlando, a hotbed for, we're getting a Miami in there. We'll talk about that in a second. Good one, John. I think Orlando, though, it scares me. Orlando, to me, is the number one place. Utah, they are second in position in terms of cap room. I don't see Malik Monk going to Utah. I don't think stylistically it works. I don't think that I don't think he would like Utah. I get that there's some nice stuff out there, but it's not a golf destination. Can't play golf year round. I think that might be a heavy consideration. And also the direction of the team. What's Malik's role going to be? We've talked about how much he wants to start. They've got Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte's going to be in play for Malik. Then Detroit, not really. But the other team we mentioned, San Antonio, they are at 142. So they could play. And I'm going to give you one more. A nightmare scenario to me. Indiana, you guys, 148,472 is where they're at. So those are the teams really that are in play for Malik Monk. So when you think about this race for him, because I don't see teams going over, paying extra to go into the luxury tax for somebody like him, unless you are completely building the franchise around him. So those are, anywhere but Indy. That would hurt, right? That would be a bad one. Lance, what's up, my man? Would you rather keep Monk, start him at point with Fox off the ball, or keep Fox at point, move Sabonis to the 4 and find a big? I would start. Ooh, that's a great question, Lance. Let's think about that. No to the Sabonis at the 4. I was a big proponent of that, and you've got to have the right 5 for that. And I think there is a couple 5s the Kings could maybe poach from a couple different teams. Anita and I talked about those today. We're going to, other than the names we've talked about, I'm not going to share any more of them. We'll save it for a future show. But there's some names that maybe could slide Domas to the 4. Here's the thing. Yeah, you need a bigger man. So I think, Alberto, that's exactly what he's saying. You do get a bigger guy at the 5, but I just don't think Sabonis at the 4 works. The league is the style's changing, and until the Kings show me a propensity to actually enforce their will on other teams and make other teams respect and fear them, I don't see, at least last season and maybe here and there weren't very many examples where the Kings came out and said, this is how the game's going to play. If you don't want to play this way, then we're going to just pack it in, beat you by 30, or you can try to run with us and beat us at what we want to do. And that's what it's got to be to make a move like that, to put Sabonis at the 4. My inclination is to put Monk probably off ball. Here's why I want Malik Monk off ball. I want him with the ball in that probably 12 to maybe 8 to 12 second shot clock range, where if the Kings go through their first look, second look, it's not there. I want that natural progression, that natural swing, whatever it is. You know how it is in the offense now. It gets kicked out to De'Aaron, even Monk when he was playing. I want them to be positioned to where you can be doing a DHO. You could be doing a DHO with Keegan Murray, but just as easily could have Malik Monk coming off the weak side, getting ready to do a pick and roll with Domas if he doesn't do the DHO with Murray, or he doesn't give Murray the ball. So I'm going that way. But I think that actually, Lance, and this is where the point is, and it's a great question, and I wouldn't have this point if you didn't ask the question. That is where adjustments come in, Lance, because that's a situation where the Kings could look at. They could look at the other team's guards. They could look at the matchups, and they could say, look, we like it better with De'Aaron off the ball this game, or we like it better with Monk off the ball this game. And remember, adjustments. This season, they came in abundance and probably a little more than we wanted, or they didn't come at all. So certainly an area where Mike Brown needs to get better. Indiana now kills the Bucks. Yes, I just watched this. I don't want to see the ball till November. Dude, I thought you weren't watching the playoffs, Baki. I thought you weren't watching the playoffs, my friend. Yeah. Yep. Well, look, and we already got to that. Look, it has been an extremely fun week here on the King's Court. Both the recorded episodes and Flores or the Lakers getting swept. Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think if you would have given the Lakers the option to not play the next game and just have the series end last night, they would have. That's pretty much how they came out and played. They had no urgency whatsoever. None. And I think the TNT guys did a pretty good job of getting through that and explaining it. Great stuff. I may not comment all the time, but I listen to it all. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate it. And that's what this show's about. I want to give you a choice. There's not a ton of choices here in this market. So now you got a new one. And 226 right now live on X. That's pretty damn cool. So thank you all. We will be back Monday. Now, I will be back tomorrow and Sunday on the King's Court recorded. Now, it's going to get a little confusing. We also have some changes coming to the King's Court as well that I've talked about. But if you are not subscribed to the King's Court, do me a favor and do so. There's some really good content up there. A lot of things. If you go back and listen to some of the stuff that Grant and I were on, Grant and I were on before it came to fruition, or numbers things, scheme things, we've been all over it this season. So it really is your free Kings Insider podcast where you get a little bit of everything. And if you are kind of wondering, what the hell is this dude doing on Grant's channel? Who is he? All that. Do me a favor. Go back and listen to the deposition of Ryan in Sacktown. That'll let you know who I am, what I'm about, and why I plan to be here for the long run for all of you and this market. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. And obviously, please make sure that you are subscribed to if you don't like that. Over 7,000. Thank you very much. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. And you can also get exclusive ranch. You can turn on notifications, be notified anytime we go live. And there's some fun stuff up there. Grant's done some, especially the off season. That is where this gets good. And as far as the King's Court goes, I want to clear this up because you see the King's Court, right? And you're like, oh, we're talking NFL. You're talking this. This live show, this version of the King's Court, there's going to be a little more latitude. We're going to talk about topical things. I'll ultimately try to tie them back to Sacramento and try to keep it in market on topic. But it's the off season. I mean, I could do all Kings if that's what you want. I don't think it is, though. Let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's fun to kind of mix things up. Now, I'm giving you both ways. If you want straight Kings, listen to the recorded King's Court. That's recorded every single morning, usually before your morning drive time shows start. I'm up 3:30 in the morning, grinding away, getting ready for the day and getting content out for all of you. So that one's fun as well. And then we've got some really cool interviews with some names that you know that will be coming up here in the very immediate future. And in fact, we're going to get some inside interviews. We've got one lined up that I have not seen anywhere in Sacramento Kings land. So I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I hope all of you have the best of weekends. It has been a really fun week. You guys have made this such a fun show to do this week. So you know it. We are going to keep doing it. John, I appreciate it. Baki, I appreciate it. Do me a favor. If Haunted Horse asks you this weekend,
Yeah, lick your boots.
you just send me a tweet, okay? Hit me on the X. I will take care of it. I am sorry about that. I mean, who does that? It must be a Portland thing, I guess. Anyways, I digress. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Go Kings!
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
Light the beam. Court is dismissed. You know what? Let's run this week. I say we run the week. Let's get out the right way. We're going to run ourselves. I'm going to run myself. How about that? Do you guys know what run means? You will know in a second. Goodbye. We'll see you on Monday.
That's not a good call. No.
You don't like that call.
I don't like that call.